Listen, I hope y'all WNBA players is paying attention. They will replace y'all asses. They have Caitlin Clark. They have Paige Beckers under contract. They have Angel Reese. They have replacement players they can go get. They have a slew of rookies they are about to draft.
There's a powerful narrative circulating right now that frames recent events as a dramatic turning point, even calling it a karma moment in professional sports. The story being told online suggests that after 2 seasons of tension, criticism, and competitive friction surrounding Caitlin Clark, the broader business ecosystem of basketball has shifted decisively in her favor. Supporters argue that Clark endured intense physical play, constant media scrutiny, and debates about her place in the league, from Rookie of the Year conversations to Olympic roster decisions. In their view, she remained productive, marketable, and composed while controversy swirled around her. Now, with major media platforms expanding her visibility and brands deepening their investment, some fans see this as validation. However, it's important to ground this in confirmed facts. There has been no official announcement stating that WNBA owners NBC Universal or Peacock have ditched veteran players or adopted an exclusive single-athlete business model. Media companies routinely spotlight breakout stars because star power drives ratings. That's standard sports marketing strategy. But that doesn't equate to abandoning other athletes. It's also inaccurate to frame league labor discussions as punishment or collapse. Collective bargaining negotiations happen across professional sports, from the NBA to the NFL to MLB. They can be tense, but they're part of the economic structure of modern leagues. They don't automatically signal that one group has lost everything. What is true is that Caitlin Clark's commercial profile has grown rapidly. Appearances connected to major networks, endorsement expansion, and crossover exposure into broader basketball conversations have amplified her platform beyond the confines of one league season. That visibility creates momentum. At the same time, veteran players remain foundational to the league's competitive credibility. Championships, international accolades, and years of investment built the infrastructure that Clark stepped into. Growth in sports is rarely a zero-sum game. Elevated attention around one athlete can lift overall revenue, which in turn benefits player salaries and league valuation over time. The current moment reflects a shift in influence, not necessarily a purge or erasure. Star-driven marketing cycles are common in sports history. The key question isn't who gets replaced. It's how leagues integrate transcendent stars into sustainable long-term growth strategies. Narratives about sabotage and revenge make for dramatic commentary. But structurally, what's unfolding looks more like a league adapting, sometimes awkwardly, to a player whose popularity accelerated faster than its traditional framework. Whether this becomes a lasting power realignment or simply another phase in the league's evolution will depend on collaboration, negotiation, and continued performance, not just headlines.
NBA, NBC, Peacock, they're pushing on and moving on with their promo, regardless if y'all signing this deal or not, because I'm pretty sure they got a contingency plan in place. They have a contingency plan.
To understand why this moment feels so dramatic to some fans, you have to look at the broader media landscape. NBC and Peacock secured major media rights agreements involving both the NBA and the WNBA. In traditional rollouts like this, networks often spotlight league history, highlight established champions, and feature veteran stars who helped build the sport's foundation. What's drawing attention now is NBC's decision to bring Caitlin Clark into its broader basketball coverage as a contributor. That move signals recognition of her crossover appeal and audience pull. Networks follow data, social engagement, viewership spikes, merchandise trends, and demographic expansion. Clark's numbers in those areas have been significant, and from a business standpoint, featuring her makes sense. However, it's important not to turn that into a false binary. NBC highlighting Clark does not mean it is ignoring or discarding veterans like Diana Taurasi or Breanna Stewart. Established champions still carry championship credibility, international accolades, and deep respect within the basketball community. Media coverage often expands rather than replaces. Spotlighting one breakout star doesn't automatically erase others. The language online about cutting dead weight or abandoning an old guard reflects fan frustration narratives more than confirmed corporate strategy. Networks ultimately care about ratings, storytelling, and sustained engagement. That includes compelling rivalries, established greatness, and emerging superstars. In sports media, contrast drives content. What this really signals is a shift in emphasis. Clark represents growth potential, new audiences, and generational change. Veterans represent legacy, championships, and continuity. Successful leagues typically integrate both, honoring history while capitalizing on momentum. Framing it as sunshine versus toxicity oversimplifies a much more complex ecosystem. Competitive tension, strong personalities, and evolving hierarchies exist in every professional league. Media companies don't usually pick sides in locker room narratives. They invest in whichever stories generate sustainable interest. Oh yes, there is a noticeable spotlight shift toward Clark. That's undeniable. But spotlight shifts in sports happen whenever a transcendent figure emerges. The long-term question isn't whether the past is being discarded. It's whether the league and its media partners can blend legacy and star power into a cohesive future.
Sports, what they did is they flexed on them, okay? They flexed on them. Here it says, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. The WNBA is coming to NBC and Peacock. So,
to understand why this conversation has intensified, you also have to look at the broader labor context. The WNBA and its Players Association periodically renegotiate terms related to revenue share, salary structures, travel standards, and long-term investment. That's standard in professional sports. Similar negotiations have taken place in the NBA, NFL, MLB, and other leagues whenever media rights deals expand and revenue projections increase. There have been discussions about players seeking a larger percentage of league revenue and higher maximum salaries, which is consistent with what typically happens after new broadcast agreements raise the financial ceiling. Veteran players often serve in leadership roles within unions because they've experienced prior bargaining cycles and understand the process. That doesn't automatically position them in opposition to any one teammate. It reflects union structure. The online narrative suggesting that owners are dismissing player demands because only one star generates revenue oversimplifies the economics. While Caitlin Clark has undeniably driven spikes in ratings, merchandise, and ticket sales, league revenue models are more complex. Long-term media rights deals are negotiated based on overall product value, team markets, competitive balance, historical growth trends, and projected audience expansion, not just one individual player. It's also unlikely that networks or ownership groups would structure strategy around isolating a single athlete from the collective league framework. Media partners typically want stability. Even when a breakout star draws disproportionate attention, networks still rely on full-season inventory, playoff storylines, rivalries, and depth of competition to sustain engagement. If labor tensions were ever to escalate toward a strike scenario, something that remains speculative unless formally announced, both ownership and players would face financial pressure. Work stoppages rarely benefit either side long-term. That's why most professional leagues ultimately reach negotiated agreements rather than permanent standoffs. Clark's media opportunities outside regular season play may provide her personal flexibility, but they don't replace the structural importance of league participation for long-term brand building. At the same time, the league benefits from her visibility. The relationship is interdependent. The broader theme here isn't starvation or victory, it's leverage. As revenue grows and star power expands, bargaining dynamics shift. That tension is part of the maturation process of a league scaling upward. What happens next won't likely be decided by online narratives about alliances or isolation. It will be decided in negotiation rooms where long-term sustainability for players, owners, networks, and fans matters more than short-term symbolism.
Abomination. Nike dropping the ball. Here it says Nike confirmed to Adweek it will not run a commercial during Super Bowl 60 this year, so there won't be a Nike X Caitlin Clark spot during the game. Listen, man, this don't make sense. Caitlin Clark's sneakers are about to drop.
Streaming platforms operate on a simple business formula: acquisition and retention. They prioritize personalities and storylines that convert casual viewers into subscribers and keep them engaged week after week. When a breakout athlete consistently drives ratings, merchandise spikes, and viral moments, networks naturally spotlight that momentum. From a corporate standpoint, that isn't favoritism, it's performance analytics. Promotional campaigns often reflect audience data. If marketing materials appear heavily centered around Caitlin Clark, that likely mirrors measurable engagement trends. Sports media frequently leans into the most marketable figure at a given moment. That doesn't necessarily mean other players are being erased. It means one athlete is currently driving disproportionate interest. The narrative that veterans were ditched because of complaints or internal drama is far more speculative. Labor conversations about charter flights, salary increases, or working conditions are common across professional sports. Advocating for better terms through a union doesn't automatically make players liabilities. It reflects collective bargaining dynamics that exist in every major league. At the same time, brand alignment does matter. Corporations typically gravitate toward athletes who project consistency, composure, and broad appeal. Clark's public persona, focused on performance, accessibility, and visibility, aligns well with large-scale promotional strategies. That alignment likely contributes to expanded media opportunities. However, framing this as a monarchy replacing a democracy oversimplifies the structure of professional sports. Leagues remain collective enterprises. Even when one player dominates marketing cycles, competitive credibility still depends on depth, rivalries, championships, veteran leadership, and emerging talent pipelines. It's also unlikely that networks or owners are attempting to bypass union leverage through a single athlete. Long-term broadcast agreements depend on full-season inventory and stable competition. Isolating one figure outside that structure wouldn't provide sustainable content volume. What's happening looks less like a purge and more like an emphasis shift. When generational stars emerge, media ecosystems reorganize around them. That's happened in every era of sports, from basketball to tennis to golf. The shift can feel dramatic, especially when online narratives amplify tension, but it typically represents evolution rather than annihilation. Clark's rise signals change, not collapse. Veteran players still hold championships, institutional influence, and union representation. The league's future likely depends on blending that experience with the commercial acceleration Clark represents. In growth phases, power doesn't disappear, it redistributes. The real story isn't cancellation, it's transition.